Okay, brother. So I'm gonna say the Shahada and you repeat after me. We're gonna say it in Arabic, then in English. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa Allah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasul Allah. Allah Akbar. Yeah!
سائلي عن مذهبي.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. This is Sadiq and Mustafa. We got some exciting news for you. We'll be starting a new podcast called Deen City, where we interview reverts over the past years of us doing dawah. How long have you been doing dawah for, Mustafa?
A couple years, like maybe 6, 7.
6-7 years, and we've seen hundreds and hundreds of reverts. So everyone out there, if you want to be interviewed, let us know. And yeah, we'll get to it.
عقيدتي رزق الهدى من للهداية يسأل اسمع كلام محقق في قوله لا ينثني عنه ولا يتبدل حب الصحابة كلهم لي مذهب ومودة القربى بها أتوسل ولكلهم قدر على وفضائل لكنما الصديق منهم.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We're here with Deen City Podcast with Sadiq, Mustafa, and Yousef. And we're going to be asking Yousef how he came to Islam.
Alhamdulillah. Inshallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Thumma salatu wa salam ala nabiyil kareem wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How you doing?
How are you doing, Yousef? Welcome to another episode of Deen City. Today we have one of my very special friends, Brother Yousef, Sadiq, Naftali, Kratz. Eventually he's going to have Mustafa in his name and Jibreel in his name. He has like 100 different names. So good luck searching him up.
I always joke around because like I don't have any middle names, which is like a shame in Hispanic tradition.
Really?
So now I'm like collecting as many names.
Collecting names. A name collector.
Alhamdulillah, you would actually not be the first of your kind.
Really?
Yeah.
How many people? Other people?
We used to. I mean, us especially. We used to having multiple names. Like they put usually you're named after your grandfather or your grandmother if you're the first female child, and then perhaps maybe your dad or your mom will put their own name in the middle, or they might give you another nickname, and then add another Islamic name, and so you end up having probably 4 or 5 names. Alhamdulillah. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
It's culture. It's nothing bad as long as it's all good names.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Like mine, I have Muhammad, I have Mustafa, I don't want to say all. I don't want nobody searching me out, but yeah. Alhamdulillah. So having names is good. It's a good thing. The Prophet he said in the hadith, when the son of Adam, when he dies, as he's elevating, as the angels are taking his soul above, they ask, who is this such and such soul? And then the angel of death will reply, is so and so the son of so and so. But the Prophet said you will be called by the best names if you were a good person, obviously. You will be called by the best names that you were called in this dunya. So if you have Allah beautiful names, sometimes they just be like, oh, that's Muhammad, Mustafa, Hamza, Yousef.
Good, there you go, extra names for you. Yeah, actually funny, you saw him, you called him Hamza today.
Yeah, I called him Hamza.
So you gotta add that to your names. Yeah, you do kind of look like a Hamza.
Okay, inshallah.
That's not bad.
MashaAllah.
And with that hadith too that you were mentioning, I was just telling one of our cameramen today about that same hadith last night. We were talking, I was telling him about what happens when someone passes away and they're being raised up the ranks to Jannah, and all the angels will say good things about them if they died as a Muslim, but if they died as a disbeliever, they'll be saying so much bad things, you know?
May Allah grant us a good ending.
Ameen.
Ameen. Keep us Muslim until the end.
Ameen. Now speaking of the end, let's go to the beginning. Brother Yousef, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so how many years? 26 years ago now. I was born at this time.
MashaAllah.
Okay.
So you're 26?
Yeah, I just turned 26.
You're looking for a second or third wife, right? So inshallah.
Listen, don't say that. His wife, we're not.
That's a joke.
For the sake of keeping him alive, we're not. We're not.
Yeah, keeping my belly full and.
MashaAllah.
But so 2 years ago now, almost in December, I embraced Islam over at Islamic Center of Long Island in Westbury. So I was born in New York, raised in Long Island, raised in Queens most of my life.
What part of Long Island?
In Massapequa.
Yeah. Was it the same part Jabril
Yeah, right.
was raised? Okay, well,
I mean, the name would have sounded familiar.
Yeah.
But I know it was Long Island.
Yeah, it was pretty deep and closer to like South Shore. That was my grandfather's house from my mom's side. After he kicked us out for being too loud, we went to a family friend's house in Hicksville, lived for a while, and then now we ended up at an apartment in Kew Gardens where I lived for like 20 odd years of my life. Right now I'm living alone with my wife temporarily in one of my family homes in Queens, and alhamdulillah, it's been interesting trying to get used to married life. But
how's married life?
Alhamdulillah, it's good. It's interesting because like I was raised like in the Hispanic culture, like your grandmother moves in and they help raise the family and everything. While parents go work. So my grandma kind of raised us, and she does everything. She like, even though she retired, she does like all the bookkeeping for my family. She cooks and she cleans and everything. So being away from that, I had to learn really fast. Like subhanAllah, I shouldn't have taken this for granted, because it's so much harder now balancing work and then school and then coming back, and then sometimes my wife isn't home because she still lives with her family. But now that school started, she's staying more during the week. And it's just like, I gotta clean and cook and everything. So like advice to young brothers: do not get married without living alone, or at least learning how to cook and clean. Because you're like one thing I was speaking with my wife is that like even some brothers here, they jump around from being raised by their mothers to being raised by the wife.
That's not good.
It's not good.
Your wife will never be your mother.
Yeah, exactly. Because then that's weird. That's weird.
Very weird.
Yeah, because it's about like even like the son of the Prophet he would like help around the house.
Of course. Yeah, Aisha she was asked how was the Prophet in the household. She said like any normal person. He would clean after himself, mend his own clothes, and clean around and help around the house. So if you're a man, alhamdulillah, we have people who can even cook. Jibril made brownies for us. So as a man, knowing how to cook, people think that's something bad or is feminine. No, it's good. When you live alone, you gotta really know. You need to know how to cook.
Exactly.
Because all you gotta make is eggs. You'll be like, you know how to cook? Yeah, I make eggs. Like
real men know how to cook.
Come on. Yes, alhamdulillah. Islam separates masculinity from feminine, but still encourages the man to be able to have things that he can do himself and survive by himself. Because at the end of the day, if your wife gets sick, your wife is pregnant, your wife is in the hospital, your wife is away, who's gonna cook?
It's not your mom. Unless you have enough money to hire a maid. But then
not everybody is living in that situation.
Alhamdulillah. So you did mention that you were Hispanic. What's your background for that?
So my dad is Colombian. He was born in Envigado, in Medellin, and he came over here like young, like 18, 14, because his dad lived in here in Queens. He used to do deliveries for pharmacies. He used to joke around like he was peddling drugs, but they were just doing that. He used to do work like that. And my mother came from Venezuela, and she lived with her grandmother where I'm living right now for a few years while she was working. And they met through church. They got married after having me. And yeah, like I have to remind them how long they've been married for by asking how old I am. But I've been to both countries, alhamdulillah. I went to Venezuela a long time ago when I was young, before it became worse.
That's where Nicolas Maduro, right?
Yeah, we don't talk about him. we only like yellow plantains, Maduros, like and then in Colombia I've been twice. Alhamdulillah, and it's very beautiful over there. Very. They don't have like the winter season like they do over there. It's always like wet or dry season. Actually, my mother, she actually read the Quran, and she listened like the audiobook and everything. I even like taught her how to pray and then how to and she learned how to say shahada. But her situation is just more like why can't I be both kind of situation, because like she grew up Christian and she likes the idea of Jesus and everything, but it's just difficult to consolidate.
She probably needs more understanding of Jesus alayhi salam in Islam. So if you teach her about that, perhaps that would
Actually, I think it's somewhat different. I think that maybe she thinks if I'm Muslim, I'm going to have to step away from the holidays because people are big on holidays. Because some things, those things mean a lot to people. I know people who wait a long time for Christmas to come around, Easter to come around because they want to join families. But I guess they feel that if I become Muslim, I have to give it up. Maybe that's what it is. Because I don't know. That's a different.
No, he would know better.
And that's something I actually struggle with my wife because she, like, her family's Caribbean. Every year, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Kwanzaa. Like, I mean, her grandfather passed away a few days before I took my shahada. And you know, like, he was like Santa Claus for them. Like, he would always dress up and, like, you know, help bring the gifts. But they didn't believe in something like that. But he was that for them. You know, so it was like emotionally difficult to kind of stay away from that. And it's been a growing process, but it's you know, it's something that it's slowly inshallah. Because it's difficult sometimes. Like like when the first year I was Muslim, I missed Eid I think both times because I didn't realize like how important it was to go to the Eid Salah, and then I was working both those days, so I didn't get to like spend time and like hang out with other Muslims and friends to go out and eat. This year, alhamdulillah, we managed to spend some time. Went to the Eid Salah, we hung out with friends. You know, we got to spend time and eat. But it's still something we're like trying to learn and make time for, because it's like one of the things that is challenging is trying to make time for you know, gift giving and whatnot. And this is something I personally struggle with, like giving gifts. On a regular basis, or whether it's for financial reasons, or you know, just like I don't know what to get them, like that gift giving anxiety. You know, so that's something we're like trying to make time for. And
Islam doesn't judge, because we learn this. We don't reject gifts.
So
when you get people gifts, even if you're not good at picking up gifts,
you know,
just smile and say, "MashaAllah."
See, we have a cheat code. So whenever I want to give Mustafa something, he's like, "No, it's okay." I'm like, "It's a gift." He's like,
You can't reject it.
You can't reject it.
You can't reject it.
And then he pulls the same thing on me sometimes. He's like, I'm like, "No, it's fine. I don't need it." He's like, "Nope, it's a gift." I'm like, "Don't." You know, alhamdulillah.
Muslims say, "Wallah."
Yeah. So, alhamdulillah. So tell us, what got you interested in Islam? Like, what were you before? You were Catholic. I mean, you mentioned that your grandfather was Catholic.
Yeah.
So were you Catholic, and what got you interested in Islam?
So I don't even know what sex it would be, but like it was.
Or what part of Christianity?
Yeah, it was. I would say it's maybe closer to Pentecostal. I have very vague memories because I was like 3 or 4 when we went to church like that. But I know they were always like singing and like in prayer and whatnot, and they would stand up for long hours. I would get bored and go to like the kids' room to play whatever. But there was always like church drama, and that fell apart later on. Yeah, was that. And then.
What kind of drama was that?
Like the usual stuff that's involved. Yeah.
And like Sheikh Uthman says, save your drama for your mama. To quote him.
But yeah, no, so like after that, my parents started their own business. They had a recording studio in Astoria, and they kind of stopped going. My grandmother still does a very devout believer, but she didn't really go to church, especially with the decline of her health. And you know, it just wasn't something that I grew up with further on. And I kind of grew up around like the time of the Afghan War, the 9/11, everything. When I was going into kindergarten, so I was very agnostic at that point, because I was very into science. And everything. Like, I was like fascinated with the stars. Like, I had my own little astronomy book, and I would basically memorize it, and I would always read it several times. But like I was in a weird place where I was like, how could there be a God if all these bad things are happening to people? You know, like the usual
atheistic.
Yeah, it's like if there's a God, why is he letting these people do this? Happen. Yeah, exactly. And so for a very long time, I would say, up until like late high school, early college, I found myself agnostic. Actually, interesting. I didn't get into it too much, but I looked into it was a Luciferianism. So that was I would say it's more of like a philosophy than it is like an actual religion. but it was like very focused on the self. Like the person that you're worshiping is really the ideal self that you want to be. And so even though I didn't like do anything,
so wait, you transitioned from saying basically all of this can't be, there has to be a creator, to trying to find a religion basically.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like okay, I wanted to at least adhere myself to some sort of like philosophy or something, some sort of creed that could help guide my life a little bit.
So were you, because I always have this in mind, I'm like atheist, I'm truly atheist. Were you just...
I forgot the word in Arabic, but it's like the one who denies the like God. They like I see you, like the way Tony Stark is, like he sees people who are the gods and he still doesn't believe in them. You know, like it can be in front of your face, but they still deny it.
So Allah says that many places in the Quran when He criticizes the disbelievers, saying, "Oh, they reject Allah, they reject God." But if you ask them, He said many places in the Quran, He says, "Wala insaltum man khalaqa samawati wal ard la yaquluna Allah." Like if you ask them, like they're seeing all this creation, all of these things. If they were to be sincere, they say Allah.
But they
deny it.
Exactly. So I would say I was eventually shifting towards like, okay, there's some sort of external force that's or energy, whatever you want to call it, that was guiding something like all this progress, that where we are in this moment, because it's when you look at how this universe was created, when you look at the science behind it and how there's like all these universal constants, like they call them the universal constants, where it's like if they were even off by a few like thousands or tens of thousands, the entire universe would collapse.
Nothing would flow.
Exactly, it was too coincidental. It's like these things don't just happen out of coincidence. There has to be something that at least created it, or at least guided it in some way. So that's kind of where I started to shift to, but I didn't really have an understanding, and I fell away from Christianity. I didn't really understand it, nor did I feel like it, because it always never sat right with me to worship a man, first of all. There's somebody who precedes a man, even though they claim that he's divine and everything. And then the fact that somebody else has to perish for my sins, and especially somebody that I didn't even know. Like thousands of years ago.
I always like to point to that. He was, we were giving dawah today. He was talking to the lady. I knew he was going to that.
He knew. So basically what I did, I asked her, who's more knowledgeable, your God? And there she said, God. I was like, who's more loving, your God? And she said, God. So I asked her, if I'm walking and I bump into you, and I asked you to forgive me, would you forgive me? She's like, yes. And I'm like, but you would not say, hold on, let me go grab my son and kill my son, then I can forgive you. She's like, no. And I'm like, that's not right, right? And she's like, yeah, that's not right. So I'm like, she just,
I got you.
Yeah, no, it's not more of a I got you question. I mean, it is, but at the same time, it's just putting in a way they would understand.
Yeah, it's like we're trying to rationalize the line of
see how
because if
ridiculous
you're forgiving and loving, and you accept God is more forgiving and loving than you, then why would He need to go through that route that you would not go through if you were not, and He's more loving and forgiving than you?
Exactly.
So it doesn't make sense.
And I forgot. I'm not like versed in like the verses and everything, but I remember Sheikh even talking about like in specific verses in the Bible that in the Older Testament they refer to things that are fulfill like the forgiveness of sins through like different kinds of sacrifice, but nothing necessarily with you need to sacrifice a human being to do this. Like
so it was for like the unintentional sins.
Right, exactly.
Unintentional. Because even there's a verse in Ezekiel 45 verse 22 in the Old Testament, which is a messianic prophecy.
Yes.
It talks about when the prince, which they refer to as the Messiah, comes back. This is the final time he comes back, that he will sacrifice a ram for his sins and the sins of the people.
Yes.
And that's for unintentional sins. And it makes you think, wait a second, if he did die for our sins, why is it when he comes back, he's sacrificing a ram for his own sins and the sins of the people? It's for unintentional sins.
Right.
Whereas for us, in Muslims, we just say astaghfirullah, we just ask for Allah to forgive us. Because we're all going to end up making, sinning.
Right.
Unintentionally or intentionally.
Right.
As the Prophet said, every son of Adam is a sinner, someone who makes mistakes.
And the best of them, what?
are the ones who repent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I kind of want to pick up bartending, and then I was like,
bartending.
so like I learned how to do that. I actually really like the craft, the craft aspect of it, like like the juggling, like the performance of it,
Right.
and I really learned to find my palate, like for taste, but then like obviously the alcohol part is the bad part.
Right.
Tell us about that. When you were working in bartending, I'm guessing that developed your people skills as one, because I heard bartenders have to learn how to talk to people. But then I'm guessing you must have seen the bad aspects of it too. Like you must have seen people drunk, bar fights. Did you see any of that?
So I worked in a restaurant that was part of a mall. So
that was part of a what?
It was part of a shopping center.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Did you hear what I heard?
I
I was like, what? You heard what I heard, right? I heard a mosque. I'm like, what? That's what I heard. I'm like, stop alone. That's what I heard. And I'm like, okay, so I wasn't the only one. I wasn't tripping. Okay. Okay, good.
It was deep in Long Island, so you have like very wealthy, privileged people. It was part of Saks Fifth Avenue. So that's like the most expensive things. Like you get like Gucci, you get Yves Saint Laurent, Canada Goose, and all that. And
it's like Broadway on the Lower East Side.
They have one on like Fifth Avenue.
Yeah.
That's where it's originally from, but then they have one over there in that shopping center. So I was in that restaurant for 2 years. I got it like right after right at the height of the pandemic, after I took some classes doing to learn how to make drinks. And in that one, it was definitely worth the traveling, and then also like the mental abuse that went on. Like the restaurant environment is very toxic.
Okay.
When you're working in that kind of scenario, you're always like fighting for tips. Especially in it's like a small restaurant, so they didn't pool or anything. It was all like you make your own tables, you have your own customers, you make your money that way, and that's it. So there was first there was always like a preference for like the beautiful women. They like even heard it directly from my boss, who was also a woman. It was like, no, like we gotta have like this like woman who the server was like really beautiful to be behind the bar and whatnot. And it's like subhanAllah, it's like the idea of sex sells more, and that was something that I like kind of was more solidified in my mind. It's like, like it doesn't matter what I try and do, at least like because I didn't want to be in that position of like having to like sell myself to that level and to make money.
It drains you morally.
Right, exactly. Like I try to always be genuine with people, and I think I was like that for the most part. But you see a lot of the ugliness of the people, at least like when they're coming in. Not necessarily like the bad character, but like you see their struggles. Sometimes you see the depression, like what the alcohol does to them, the health problems that come of it.
So do you think people turn to the alcohol because they were sad and depressed and just wanted to escape reality? Do you see a lot of those?
I definitely think it's more of the escaping reality and a mixture of wanting to fit in. Because even growing up, I wasn't really like I didn't always like to do like oh yeah, I want to go to that party, whatever. Because I don't think I would consider myself popular amongst people like that. But I saw like the clickiness, and I never liked that stuff. But even that as like once you're in that setting, you feel like why not?
Just to be like everyone.
Yeah, it's like why not? Just to hang out and have fun, because like there's like a disconnect when everybody else around you is intoxicated and they're out of their mind, and you yourself are clear-headed. It's like there's like a bit of a disconnect. So it's like, okay, you either want to be part of that or not.
And it's human nature, because usually where you are, whatever people are doing around you, always want to fit in. And that's why the Prophet would always emphasize it, like choose your environment wisely. Because if you don't, whatever those around you, whatever they do, it's going to affect you. He said, there's a way he said, Ar-rajul ala dini khalilihi. Like, literally, you will be the same religion like your friend. Whatever they're into, whoever they are, whatever they do, like show me your friend and I'll show you who you are.
Exactly.
That's crazy. There's actually even the hadith of the perfume seller and the ironsmith. Remember the hadith of the Prophet, he said, like the benefits of having a friend, a good friend, being in a good environment, is like someone who sells perfume. Either he gives you perfume for free, or you buy from him, or at least you get a good smell from him. He's a good friend. So no matter what the situation is, if you're in a good environment, it's always going to be good for you. Or if you're in a bad environment, like someone like who's the ironsmith or the blacksmith, you either get stained by the dust from his job, or get the bad smell, or at least
exactly.
So the effects are so many that you have to be really, really picky with your environment.
You got to choose who you're around all the time.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of becoming Muslim, Yousef, tell us about what got you interested in Islam and how you transitioned to becoming Muslim.
So there was a few things. Actually, before I get into like some more specific things, I think my exposure to the supernatural was something that kind of moved me a little closer, because my friend he would always talk about how he had a relative from like back in Puerto Rico. They did sihr, like they call santeria in Spanish.
Santeria.
Yeah, santeria. So some sort of sihr.
It's like black magic.
Yeah.
You said. Yeah. Sorry.
So he believes that there's some sort of curse or malice that was brought upon him and his family, because he dealt with like apparitions or like sleep paralysis, demons, whatever. And his father also dealt with that, and he felt like he had heightened senses to it. I was like, oh, that's so cool! I'm so jealous. Why can't I experience that? Like, he's like, I want to experience this. Like, I've never experienced it. But then I want to say one night I came home from the restaurant. And it was like 2, 3 in the morning, and I went to bed. I was sleeping east to west, if that matters, and facing north, like towards my wall. And there's a point where I'm dreaming in a dream state. So you know how when you like close your eyes, you start seeing some colors, right? There was something that I noticed. It was like a deep, like vibrant purple, like off in the distance, and it felt like it was just getting closer. At some point, it was to the point where I felt like I was standing like minuscule, and it was just like this great wall of light, and it looked almost like an eye with different. Overlapped shapes like spinning behind it, and it looked almost like cybernetic, like in some of the patterns of the iris. But I remember feeling this like intense pressure in in my forehead, and I remember I was like, wait, I don't like this feeling, and I tried to wake myself up. Normally, I'm able to like wake myself up because that's it, but I couldn't. I was like, oh shoot! I can't move.
Am I dying?
I was like,
what's going on over here?
That I've seen in cities. I've seen all these boys. I'm something's trying to enter.
Like the horror movie came.
Super quick. So I had to I was able to psych myself awake. So I started hyperventilating, and that eventually got the blood flowing, and I was able to wake up. It was my first experience like that, where I was actually
close to death.
Or even possession. I would even say that was the closest thing that I felt to something like that.
You asked for it. You
wanted it. It's like they say, be careful what you wish for, right?
Not as tense, but I was like, what is this? This is the first time. I was like, okay. So maybe the supernaturalist has some truth in it. And then a year or two later, in 2022, September, I was going to go pick up she's my wife now, but we were dating back then. And she was going to school. I was going to pick her up to go bring her back to the apartment where we were staying with my parents. And as I was going down the service road, this other guy in a Yukon comes out, and he's not looking because there's a lane of traffic, and then there's a stop sign where he's coming from. He comes out really far, and since he's a big car, he enters my lane, and I couldn't stop in time, and I hit him. So I hit his driver's side fender, and he spun out and hit another lady that was sitting in traffic.
So now we have two people who hit other people.
Exactly.
So wait, for those who don't know, a car, right?
Yeah, it's a big SUV.
Yeah.
So I hit him. He spun out, hit the lady in traffic, and my car got totaled by the insurance. That's what they considered it. But I was like, but everybody was fine for the most part, except the lady who was sitting in traffic, and even though no airbags deployed, she sued my insurance for the medical bills. But alhamdulillah, those things cleared off, and nobody sued for more than that. But in that moment, I was in very deep reflection, because I was like, okay, somebody's looking out for me. I don't know who or what, but something is looking out for me, and I'm meant to do something. Because what if I had already picked up my wife? I picked up my girlfriend at that point, and then we got into a worse accident, or I killed somebody, or I got killed on the way, or months from then, if I still had the car, I got into an even worse accident. So that
was that the first time it happened to you?
That was the first like serious like total accident that I had. In the past, when I was younger, I actually I got hit by a car a couple times. Not on the same day. On my bicycle.
You probably the worst
bike.
rider ever.
Hit another one.
How many after another one?
Too many.
This guy was bad. Oh my God! Subhanallah.
So the first time in high school, I was going.
Because he makes fun of me of hitting somebody, and that person became Muslim.
It's so hard to get the fitra.
I can't drive, by the way, so I really shouldn't be.
Look who's talking. Yeah. He's criticizing us for driving.
Yeah, I
I got hit the first time. Some guy cut me off while I was crossing the crosswalk on my bike, and I bounced off him. I hurt myself. I couldn't move. Went to the hospital, and I got X-rays. They were inconclusive. I had no fractures or anything. I just had to live around for a while. And then the following year, it was going to school. Some lady made a right as I was crossing the crosswalk, and she T-boned me. She hit me directly perpendicular to my bike. Alhamdulillah, the pedal took the entire impact, so I didn't get injured in my leg. She dragged me a few feet, and I fell over. I make eye contact with her, and she still drove off. And so both times hit and runs, I was fine either way. Alhamdulillah. So I was like, okay. I was always joking around, like the third time I'm gonna get hit by a bus or a truck or something like that.
May Allah prevent that from ever happening. I mean. So then, after that, you got started in learning about Islam. How did that happen?
So wait, those incidents made you feel like someone was looking over you?
Yeah, exactly. But so what made me start looking into Islam specifically? We had some Muslim friends in college. And they didn't give us da'wah in the sense of they were trying to invite us to the masjid or whatever, but we had one friend, she would talk about the scientific miracles in the Quran, and I was like, that's pretty cool. And then explaining certain rights of the man and the woman within Islam, and certain conditions, and I was like, okay. At some point, me and my girlfriend at the time, we were we were joking around. I was like, okay, if there was any religion that we were going to try, we would try Islam. And alhamdulillah, now 3-4 years later, we're both Muslim.
And you're not the only one. And usually, because people, the positive message they hear about Islam, they say, they don't, at the initial point, like I was saying earlier, at the initial point, they don't say, oh, I want to become Muslim. But later on in their life, they're like, if I'm gonna try any religion, it's gonna be Islam. Subhanallah.
I've heard that so many times.
Subhanallah.
Yeah, so many non-Muslims.
Hey, Ibrahim said that in the interview.
Yeah. A lot of people, alhamdulillah, like we always say, and you're gonna hear us throughout the whole podcast saying the same thing. People are out there not knowing they're Muslim already. They're just walking, but they don't know. They're Muslim
until it hits you.
Even that speech that you said, subhanallah, it reminds me of the ayah in the Quran. Allah, He said, when good comes to them, وَإِن تُصِبْهُمْ حَسَنَةٌ يَقُولُوا هَذِهِ مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. Like when good comes, even though I think in the ayah Allah was criticizing the disbelievers, but then you see how you're not even Muslim, but you're like, somebody's watching over me. You're like, all these good things, I've been saved from so many accidents. I'm the worst driver. And then I'm still
You're gonna say he's the worst driver. I'm joking.
No, but you know how the feeling, you get this feeling like, like, no, this can't just be random.
Right.
Yeah, and this happens to so many people.
Exactly.
SubhanAllah.
But in November, I want to say I was working at a church by the way at the time,
Okay.
like because I started.
He was working at a church too.
I was going to a church.
But I was working at a church doing like the sound mixing for like a year before that. So you know all the worship songs, fill the shirt and everything. I was like, oh man, this is crazy. But I still never really resonated with it.
Right.
But I started like reading. It was like something clicked in me. I was like, oh, I remember now. So there was a pastor. He's an African American brother. His name is Mo.
Well, what did it?
Interesting.
Muhammad. Oh my gosh, I knew it. I was
Pastor
like,
Muhammad something. Yeah, Pastor Muhammad something.
Muhammad?
Yeah, his name was
No,
Muhammad, yeah.
what?
No
So,
way.
he had a rough life in the beginning. He
Subhanallah.
probably had Muslim parents or grandparents, and then they
Wow.
kind of phased out.
Subhanallah.
But he grew up in the streets, peddling drugs, and then he eventually became
Pastor.
Christian, became pastor, and whatnot. But he always goes by Mo.
Yeah, it was Mo. Call me Mo.
But, yeah, no. He was actually giving like a good khutbah, like the sermon there about calling out the hypocrisy of others, like being the holier than thou personality and whatnot. I appreciate that because that's not something that you really see in Christian communities that they hold each other accountable for.
Right.
But it's something, for some reason, that like kind of clicked in me. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna try and take maybe the idea a little more seriously. Let's read the Quran. So I downloaded it on my phone. I got the Quran.com app, and I settled with the Yousef Ali translation. Reading the Quran was what did it for me. That within like going through Surah Al-Baqarah, like the story of the prophets, and just like the rules and regulations, like kind of like everything is so precise. Everything is trying to be fair, and every time I had a question, it was always answered in the next ayah or the next page.
Wow.
And
How the Quran flows.
Yeah.
I know. It's
And the good thing about the Quran too, you don't need to start from the beginning.
Right.
You could pick any surah, and you could still understand the whole Quran.
It's the miracle of the Quran.
Yeah.
The Prophet was asked, what is your miracle?
Yeah.
He said the Quran.
Yeah, and
It's the
it's
greatest
unlike the
miracle.
Bible. You need to start from the beginning, and then sometimes they give you over. Who cares who was the father of this person? Who was the father of that
Oh,
person?
yeah.
The grandmother. They tell you so and so was a grandmother of this person. She had a daughter. I'm like, what relevance does this have to do with anything?
Yeah,
But,
right,
but
exactly.
anyways, go on. Sorry, I don't mean to.
I know what you
Relevant
mean.
point.
Like it was very concise and all that, and it was very straight to the point with everything when it comes to who Allah is, who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, what it means to be a believer, and what it is to be a disbeliever. I was like, because I immediately saw, I was like in the first few ayah of Surah Al-Baqarah, is like it describes who the believers are and who the disbelievers are, and like that the ayah وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ لَا تُفْسِدُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ قَالُوا
وإذا قيل لهم لا تفسدوا في الأرض قالوا إنما نحن مصلحون ألا إنهم هم المفسدون ولكن لا يشعرون.
So like I was like subhanAllah, that was like they I was like subhanAllah, all these people now like in the corrupt governments, they say like, oh, we're peacekeepers, we're trying to the United States trying to be like we're the good guys, we're the enforcers, we're the Avengers, and like yet they're still doing all this facade, this destruction.
It was even on the
chaos.
news. They came out, oh, we only want peace.
So I would say, of course, that the last thing that Israel is seeking in this region since its creation is to go to war. We are seeking peace. We are peace seekers. We went to peace with our neighbors.
And funny, a guy, I think the soldier opened the Quran, something like that, and it literally went to that ayah. And as he was talking, the ayah of the Quran was right there. And the guy he translated in English, and when they are told, be good upon the earth, they say, oh, we are the peacekeepers. Allah says, no, rather they are the corruptors of the land.
Exactly. But one of the things that like I felt like I had to keep investigating further is that I was reading at night, I'm really bad with reading. I almost failed high school because I wouldn't read the books to do the assignments. I had to like get it together.
Right.
But like the Quran, like I just couldn't put it down. There were nights that I had work the next day, and I would be up like 2-3 in the morning, and I wouldn't get tired at all until I put the phone down and then looked at it and I got energy again. And then I only stopped to make sure I could sleep enough to go to work the next day. But like I basically just read through it. I managed to finish it maybe like a few days after I took my shahada in December. November, December.
So a few days from that, then you took your shahada.
And I took my shahada first. I was actually delaying it because I had to learn how to pray on YouTube. And I was following along, and I was like trying to practice like making wudu and everything. But then I was like, I wanted to do it. I wanted to be with like my friends and family to be there.
Right.
But then I eventually took it on December 22nd.
Wait, I want to get this in order. So first, the church and the dawah, they're calling out people for the wrongs.
Yes.
And then that led you to download the Quran?
Yeah. I still don't really understand the connection, but I was like, I was thinking about it for a while. I was like, today's the day I'm gonna open the Quran.
This is just the guidance of Allah.
So it was the church reading the Quran, shahada, somewhere in between, right?
Yeah, December.
And then you continue reading the Quran.
I was already like in Juz Amma, like on the last Juz at that point, but I wanted to finish the Quran before I took a shahada, but I did manage to finish it like a few days after that.
Right, that's good.
Alhamdulillah. Any non-Muslims are listening out there, you don't have to wait till you finish reading the Quran.
Yes.
We have so many people come to us, they say, oh no, I want to read the Quran first. Yes, but once you're convinced, then what are you waiting for?
Yeah, exactly. You don't even, tomorrow's not promised to anybody.
Right.
In fact, the next 5 minutes isn't promised to any of us. I may not finish this podcast today.
You're going to finish it, though.
No, inshallah. That's why we always say inshallah. Inshallah, God willing. So,
Alhamdulillah. Amazing. Welcome to Islam, man. It's been how many?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
2 months.
2 beautiful years.
2 months and 16 days.
16 days.
See, this is so important to him. He's keeping track.
Yeah.
Some people don't even know when their anniversaries with their wife are, but they know when they're. No, I didn't mean. I'm not meaning any of you guys. You know what I'm talking about. When you guys watch this, you see all the time on TV shows. No, I'm not calling anybody out. I'm not calling anybody out. I'm not calling anybody out. They have to see it on TV. So, okay. So, alhamdulillah, it just goes to show you how important his shahada day to him and how much it means to him. May Allah reward him and grant him Jannah Firdaus. And make him the means to other people, like in his family members, get his father, his mom, everyone else taking shahada, and becoming Muslim.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you. What a beautiful story.
Thank you guys for watching. Please, if you're not already subscribed to our channel, subscribe and give us a like to try to get this in the algorithm and everything like that. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
الصحابة كلهم لي مذهب ومودة القربى بها أتوسل ولكلهم قدر على وفضل